How's it going, everybody? Well, week one is done. We are officially all done with week one. Football is officially back, and it's beautiful. Thank God. And, of course, as a Packer fan, I'm very, very happy as the Green Bay Packers defeated the Blue Kitties 27-13 in what was the now 13th straight home opening win for the Green Bay Packers. I was in attendance along with my uncle, and it was incredible. Just a beautiful day for football. It was absolutely amazing. Most electric atmosphere I've ever been a part of at Lambeau Field, and I've now been to 7 Packer games in which they have all won. And I gotta say, it was really something special. First game with Micah Parsons, he came out of the tunnel, and it was just awesome. It was really awesome. The Green Bay Packers, for the first time in, I believe, 2 or 3 years, defeated the Blue Kitties at Lambeau Field. Last time the Packers beat the Blue Kitties at Lambeau was actually a Monday night game that I was also there with my uncle. And my uncle is a Lions fan, so he wasn't too happy. But of course, let's get started. We'll start, as always, with the offense. Jordan Love, 16 of 22, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, although he almost had 2. Kind of scary, but luckily Anzalone couldn't come up with it. And then the one that Brian Branch had was called back for a hold. Jordan Love not sacked at all. The offensive line doing an incredible job of protecting our quarterback. Josh Jacobs, 19 carries, 66 yards, and a touchdown. So Josh Jacobs being efficient as always. Not so much in the first half. It took him to the second half to kind of get rolling. The Lions' run defense was doing a very good job. Also, it is now with the touchdown on Sunday, it was now the 9th straight game that a Packers running back has scored a touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and that's just extended the franchise record. So that's great for Josh. Just continuing off where he left off last year. Leading the receiving was Romeo Doubs, 2 receptions for 68 yards. The long one was, I believe, 48, and that was in the second quarter, where the drive where they only had 2 plays, one big one to Rome, and then Jaden Reed in the corner of the end zone. Jaden Reed, of course, 3 receptions, 45 yards, and a touchdown. So it was good to see him getting back into it, getting good catches, getting in the end zone. He did have 2 drops, though. So one was kind of a pivotal one where it kind of just went right through his hands. Would have sealed the game. I mean, the game was pretty much sealed after the end of the first half anyway, but would have kind of just sealed it a little bit quicker. Just went right through his hands in the fourth. That was kind of upsetting. He should have Jordan dropped a perfect ball, and unfortunately couldn't come down with it. So drops still kind of an issue with him. Dontavian Wicks, it was nice to see him getting involved. He had 2 receptions for 30 yards. I believe he also did have a drop. So hopefully we get that cleaned up. Matthew Golden in his very first game as a Green Bay Packer, 2 receptions for 16 yards. It was nice to see him get out there. Man, is that kid fast. That kid is fast. And then Tucker Kraft, he had 2 receptions for 16 yards and a touchdown. Beautiful pass by Jordan in the first quarter on the very first drive. Kind of getting it right where Tuck could get it, right over Brian Branch. So that was nice to see. And then Musgrave, Brooks, Fitzpatrick, Xavier Williams, and and Josh Jacobs all had 1 catch as well. Jordan doing a really good job in the first half, really spreading the ball around. I believe his first 8 or 9 passes were all to different receivers, so that's wonderful. Then we got to get into the defense. The defense was this is where the dominance really, really was in this game. The Packers defense just dominated all game, smothered the Lions all game. We'll start here. They had 15 quarterback pressures, 7 QB hits, 4 sacks, 4 tackles for a loss. They hit the line ball carriers behind the line of scrimmage on 16 out of 22 carries. Just incredible. I'll make another little quick statement before we get into individual players. The defense allowed -2 rushing yards on 7 plays when Micah Parsons was on the field, compared to 48 yards on 15 carries when Micah wasn't on the field. So Micah already getting involved and becoming a huge impact on the field, and he wasn't on the field that much. I believe he only had 20-something snaps, if a little bit less. I could be wrong on that, but he's already making a huge impact. I can't wait. I can't wait to see this defense, especially with Micah in there. We'll start with Evan Williams he had a pick in the red zone. Lions had a great drive all the way down the field. Got in the red zone right before the end of the second half, and Evans picked it off. It was a great pick, a little low, but he got his hands on it. It was pretty sweet. Edgerrin Cooper, he had 8 tackles. Javon Bullard had 7 tackles. Kwekwe had 6. Rashawn Gary, 3 tackles and a sack. LVN, he had a half sack. It was nice to see Lucas Van Ness getting around all over the place. It was good to see him. I'm really, really excited this year. I think this year's going to be a good breakout year for Lucas. I really hope so. Hopefully now with Micah out there, it's going to allow these guys to start getting the quarterback more now, because O-lines are going to be too busy trying to stop Micah, that you're going to allow rushers like Devontae Wyatt, LVN, Rashawn Gary to be able to get in there and get to the quarterback. Devontae Wyatt, like I said, he had a sack. Micah Parsons had a sack, and his sack was incredible. He split the 2 defenders and just chased. It was like watching a lion chase a gazelle. It was beautiful. Just chased Jared Goff down, got him from the back, and just took him down. And the whole Lambeau field just erupted. It was so cool. It was really cool to be there and be a part of that. It really was. It was incredible. And then Daniel Whelan, of course, just got an extension last week. He had 3 punts, 54.7 yard average. A 65-yard punt was his longest of the day, and he had 2 punts that got inside the 20. Daniel Whelan's a stud. He's just a total stud. He really is. We'll get into quickly the Lions here. A couple of their leading players. Jared Goff was 31 of 39. 225 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick. David Montgomery, 11 carries for only 25 yards. And they only had 46 rushing yards altogether, the Lions, which is a huge statement and a huge shout out to the Packers defense, because this Lions team, their running is like their bread and butter, especially last season, last couple of seasons. The Lions you can't really stop their run game. It's been that incredible, and the Packers defense was able to really, really stuff that, and that was a big part of yesterday's win. Huge part. Sam Laporta was their leading receiver. He had 6 receptions for 79 yards. And then Gibbs, he had 10 receptions for only 31 yards. 10 receptions for only 31 yards. That's crazy. That's crazy. Jared Goff just short little passes here and there. That's all he could do. And that's, again, another statement to the defense, just being able to get that pressure on him and make Jared get that ball out quick. It was huge. It was great. It was awesome to see. And then the rookie, that Tesla, I hope I'm saying that name right, He had one catch for 13 yards and a touchdown. It was a garbage time touchdown with like 55 seconds left in the game, and it didn't look like a touchdown at first from where we were, but I mean after the replay it was a touchdown, and I gotta say that was an amazing catch. If that's what this kid's gonna be doing, he's gonna be a problem. He really is. I mean, it was an incredible catch. It was really nice, right over Carrington Valentine. It was a really good catch. It was cool. No sacks for the Lions. The defense never got to Jordan. They had 9 quarterback pressures and 3 quarterback hits. And Aiden Hutchinson in his return, 0 tackles. 0. That's huge. Kept him in check all game. Now I will say that it's going to take some time. Give it a couple weeks. I think Hutch will be fine. I think the Lions altogether. I'll say this. I think the Lions altogether with two new coordinators. Give them a couple of weeks. I think the Lions will be fine. I really do. I think this rematch on Thanksgiving I think is going to be a really fun game. But I don't think the Lions they played really bad yesterday, but I think overall I think they're still a problem. I still think that they're one of the best teams in the NFC. I still believe that. We'll look at some overall team stats. Detroit led the Packers in time of possession by 11 minutes. They had 35 minutes, 25 seconds compared to Green Bay's 24 minutes, 35 seconds. First downs, the Lions had 16, the Packers had 14. Third downs, this was a big difference in the game. The Lions were only 5 for 15 when it came to the third downs, and the Packers were 4 of 10. Fourth downs, the Lions were 3 for 4. Kind of like the bread and butter for Dan Campbell is just going for it on fourth down. They were succeeded 75% of the time, and the Packers were 1 for 1. Overall, the Lions ran 65 plays compared to the Packers 47. And in the red zone, the Packers were 3 for 5, and the Lions were only 1 for 4. And that one obviously coming way late at the end of the game. And the only other time that the Lions were getting up there, they threw a pick or they had to kick field goals. And the penalties, Lions had 7, Packers had 4, and they were both only 40 yards for each. So those were didn't really make too big of a difference. It did for the Lions. Scratch that. It did for the Lions because Brian Branch had a hold on Romeo and then turned around and got an interception and then ran it back for a pick six. So that one made a difference. So overall, the Packers dominated. This was a really big statement win for the Packers coming into this game. Last week when I did my predictions, I did have this game as a loss for the Packers. So I am very, very happy that that it was a victory for Green Bay. My uncle and I were talking on the way up about kind of how we thought the game was going to go, and we were both pretty 50-50. Kind of could see it going either way, a blowout either way, or a close game either way. But this kind of dominant performance that the Packers had, especially on the defensive side of the ball, was just incredible. Huge statement. If this is what we have to look forward to with this defense, this is going to be a big year. It really is. Obviously, gut reaction as a Packer fan, I'm thinking Super Bowl, but we'll take it 1 week at a time. 1 week at a time. I do also want to make one more note. I think it was the late mid fourth quarter. I think the best defensive stand of the game was the Lions were all the way on their own side of the field near the end zone, and it was like 3 straight plays where boom, 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 Gary, Wyatt, Wooden, just boom, boom, boom. Almost got a safety a couple times. They were close, but just stuffed them. And I think that was the most fun drive, I think, of the game for the defense. In my opinion, it was just middle fourth quarter, and they just wrecked them. They just dominated them. It was a lot of fun. looking forward to next week. The Packers will have a quick turnaround as they will host the Washington Commanders on Thursday Night Football. It is white out. The Packers will be wearing their all-white jerseys. So that'll be fun. I don't like Thursday Night Football. I don't think anybody does. But quick turnaround for the Packers as they play the Commies, who are another very, very good NFC team. I do think the Packers are going to win that one on Thursday. I think I'm pretty confident in that. But it'll be a nice another tough game for the Packers, and hope they play anything like they did yesterday. They'll win. The Lions, they'll head to Chicago on Sunday. Chicago, who just blew a big lead the Vikings on Monday Night Football. That was funny. So that's going to be it for me and for this week. Of course, I'll be back next week or Thursday night or Friday, for the post game for the Packers and Commies. So I will see you guys then. Thanks for watching. Go Pack Go.